This was me walking in to go and see Superman. And this was me after I saw Superman.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know what the hell James Gunn was thinking. Before I get into my top 10 takeaways from Superman, allow me to talk about some of the things that I found actually positive about the movie. It was brighter and it was more colorful. Okay. Rachel Brosnahan and Mr. Corin Sweat had some actual nice chemistry between the two of them. So yeah, David Corin Sweat, that's some pretty okay chemistry between the two of them. All right. Those were the only two positives. So let me dive into my top 10 takeaways from Superman, and I'm just going to tell you right now, yes, there are going to be spoilers. If that, it's a problem and you don't want to, then I suggest you go and see it and then come back. But there are going to be massive spoilers here because I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this. So let's dive into number one. You will believe a man can fall. You see this right here, this picture right here, this picture sums up Superman. This picture sums it up because Superman started this movie at the bottom, went through the movie at the bottom, and ended the movie at the bottom. Honestly to God, I talked about it when it came to the trailers. I kept saying that, I was not a big fan of the trailers and him constantly falling and all that kind of thing. But this was basically 90 minutes of him getting his ass handed to him every which way from Sunday. Because the movie literally starts off with him crash landing into the Arctic. And you get to find out that, 3 minutes ago, he just lost a fight to the so-called Hammer of Boravia, right? So they take him into the fortress after Krypto comes and drags him along. And don't worry, I'm getting to that dog soon, right? They drags him along, take him into the fortress, they focus sunlight on him and stuff, and he heals. He's back to about 83%, and he takes off going back there because he needs to get back into it. So he flies back there to fight the Hammer of Boravia to get his ass kicked again. That was it. There was nothing hopeful about this Superman. There was nothing that made me feel like, yes, this is somebody who is aspiring, who is growing, who is powerful, who I could put my trust in. There just wasn't. James Gunn was apparently trying this whole kind of, okay, he's more human and more relatable kind of thing, but it just didn't work. It didn't work. And what they did to the continuity, I'll talk about that again later on, but it just didn't add up. You look at Superman is supposed to be the character who, when all is said and done, when you need that hope, when you need that assurance, Superman is going to show up and you could be certain Superman is going to do this. You didn't get that. You really didn't get that in this movie at all. It felt like, whether he was there or not, you really didn't care. Honestly, you really didn't care. The movie's called Superman and it did nothing to really bring out anything super inspire you in any way at all. Man spent the majority of his time getting his ass kicked. And he was like, first over the Hammer of Boravia, got his ass kicked, went into some pocket dimension that Lex Luthor had, only to get pointed and thrown on the ground, and then he went up there, fight again, get his ass kicked, and so it just kept going. It was really ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. Which takes me to number 2. One-dimensional Superman, baby. If you saw the trailers that they had out for this movie, then in those trailers, you got everything you needed to know about Superman. Honestly. everything in those trailers was all you needed to know about Superman. This was one of the most one-dimensional type characters you may ever encounter, ever. Honestly, the guy was just so meh. It wasn't even interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I say, David Corenswet, he could do a real good Superman. He could be a really good Superman, but he just has bad writing to work with. And it's not only Superman, all the characters in this movie end up like that one-dimensional, but I'll talk about that again soon. But when it comes to Superman, he's so very one-dimensional. That whole incident where they had the thing with Lois Lane was interviewing him, and I talked about how he was acting like a man baby. Oh yeah, that was pretty clear, because even when she tells him how there's some stuff online or something, and he says that he doesn't really pay attention, and she says like things trending, hashtag super shit. He's like, I don't like that. I don't like it, Lois. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Seriously. I mean, when he bursts into Lex Luthor's office and he's throwing this tantrum, and I'm like, what in the name of God, man? Come on. Why are you doing this? It is really ridiculous. He's such a one-dimensional character. You don't get any kind of real progress or growth from this character. What you saw in the trailers, that is it. That is all that there is to this character. Nothing more. That's it. That is all right there. That's it. It's very, very one-dimensional and very, very, very ridiculous. And we move on to number 3, Lex Luthor. Now, my thing about it is that Nicholas Hoult, good actor, but my God, like every other character in this movie, I don't know. Lex Luthor wasn't even like, a criminal mastermind. Lex Luthor was a jealous, petty, envious, pathetic waste of space who hated Superman because people liked him and not Lex. And if you think I'm just making it up, that no, Lex actually admits in the movie that he is a jealous, envious, petty, miserable human being. That's what it is. And I mean, you get this whole thing about it because he has this whole planned decoration kind of stuff like that and all of this. And okay, before you get to but get to the plan, yeah? The plan that was, oh my God, it wasn't even explained actually in sequence. But if you were like, that whole plot from Batman v Superman, and that Lex Luthor, you thought that was just stupid and convoluted. This one takes the cake, because what happens is that Lex Luthor, apparently there is this conflict between the country of Boravia and Jahanpur, right? And Lex has been giving funds to Boravia all the time. So when it is, you see, Boravia was about to invade Jahanpur, Superman came and stopped it, and apparently Lex set up all of that to to sway public opinion against Superman, so that he would get authorization from the government to kill Superman. And the whole time, his thing is that, he wants Bravia to invade Jahanpur so he could get a part of the country and literally turn it into, I think it's like Luthorvania. Yeah, Luthorvania is what it is. He wants to turn it into. It's so hard to freaking remember because the plot made no sense. Luthorvania, right? That's his whole ridiculous plot, and he's built like pocket dimensions, all kind of stuff. It's really, really convoluted and stupid. And how exactly does his entire plan actually get revealed? Lex Luthor's girlfriend, Eve Tessmacher, she has been taking selfies everywhere, right? And in the background of these selfies are all his plans that have been revealed. And Eve Tessmacher is apparently an apparently this ex-girlfriend of Jimmy Olsen, who's a reporter, not a cameraman, but a reporter, right? And she's obsessed with Jimmy, and she has been sending information to Jimmy about Lex Luthor. So she sends him all the selfies that she's taken, and in the background of those selfies are all the plans. And they try to play like Lex Luthor is this criminal mastermind, and he's very smart, all kind of thing, and they play to be very smart. But you're trying to tell me he's so smart, and he's just allowing this woman to take selfies there where all this important, and he isn't checking to make sure she isn't uploading it online or anything like that. He just leaves it. So that's all because even when it comes to his pocket dimension, he basically has a pocket dimension that he's using as this prison, right? And he's not just locking up. He didn't just build it to lock up Superman. He's locked up anybody he doesn't like, even ex-girlfriends. He locked up in there, and I'm like, aren't the police looking for these people? I mean, if they have a actual connection to you know to to Lex, that's something to open an investigation. But nothing happens. It's really ridiculous. And then there's the whole reason why Lex wants to take out Superman, right? Because he's literally obsessed with taking out Superman. Because, like I was saying, that Superman lost this fight to the Hammer of Boravia, right? The Hammer of Boravia is actually Ultraman, and spoilers here: Ultraman is basically Bizarro because Lex Luthor got one of Superman's hairs and cloned him, but the clone isn't smart, so he just kind of follows orders like it. So Ultraman is actually Bizarro, who was dressed up as the Hammer of Boravia. And the reason he was able to beat Superman is that Lex Luthor has studied all his moves and knows exactly what to order his clone to do to beat him. And I'm like, so you're trying to tell me Superman can't realize that this thing is reading his move to stop him? But no, even more ridiculous is the fact that Lex is using drones, right, to see everything that Superman does, so he knows what order to give to the to his clone to beat him up. And I'm like, so Superman can't take out these drones or anything like that. He should at least be able to pick up the frequencies being so he would know what to do. But no. And Lex is obsessed with destroying Superman. And you would think that, okay, they have this long rivalry. No. When Superman bursts into his office, you know what Lex says? Superman, so glad to finally meet you. So you've never met this man in person before, and you have spent like 3 years trying to kill him? Really? He lives in the same city you live in. He clearly knows that you're an evil sycophant, but this is the first time you're meeting? Oh my God, people. It was beyond stupid. I think Lex Luthor's convoluted, ridiculous, dumbass plan, the fact that ridiculous, convoluted, dumbass plan got taken out because he allowed his girlfriend to take selfies everywhere, and then his obsession with destroying a man you've never met before until that exact moment. Oh my God, boy. And now we move on, people, to the next one, Krypto. Now, apparently, James Gunn adopted this dog that was a real pain in the ass and, ripped up stuff and ran around the house destroying all kind of things. And for some reason, he thought it was a good idea to self-insert this dog into the movie. No, James Gunn, it wasn't. Because while at certain times you may chuckle a little bit when it comes to this dog, I am telling you, you're going to hate this mutt by the time this movie's over. Oh God, Krypto was the most annoying creature you could find. Why that dog was everywhere, I don't know. I really don't freaking know. The dog was every bloody where. You remember that scene where there is this big thing looking like some kind of Solaris looking thing shooting stuff at the city. Well, apparently it's some kind of fifth dimensional imp, and the, the Justice Gang, who I will get to shortly. Don't worry about that. The Justice Gang is out there fighting it, and Lois is saying to Superman shouldn't you? And he's like, no, that's just like no, that's just some kind of fifth dimensional imp. They've got that. No, he's more upset about what happened, but he's even more upset about his dog is missing. Seriously, he was the whole reason he burst into Lex's office is because he's looking for the dog. Honestly, the reason he let himself is because he wanted to get the dog. Everything is about the dog. I'm telling you, it's about the dog. Even when Superman is getting his ass handed to him yet again by Ultraman, who's Bizarro, and Lex is there yammering on his overhyped, ridiculous nonsense, and he's telling Superman that, brains beat brawn. And Superman starts to smile, and he's like, why are you smiling? And then Superman says, brains beat brawn. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he allowed himself to get beaten up like this because maybe the robots at the fortress that were destroyed, so I'll get to that in a little bit, maybe he repaired them and they hacked into Lex's, systems, and they have been broadcasting everything that he has said to the entire population, so the world knows who he is, and Superman has just been playing along to get him to confess and to get, okay, all right, maybe this is an actual plan. Maybe something's happening here. Okay, no, you know what his whole brain over brawn thing was? To whistle for the freaking dump. That's what it was, to whistle for the dog, so the dog could start literally taking out the drones, biting up the drones and also destroying them, so that now that Ultraman isn't getting any more instructions from Lex, Superman could take him out. Yeah, Superman hits him a couple blows and then Ultraman comes back and starts to beat the shit out of him again, literally dislocates his shoulder, and then Superman has to dislocate it again to literally get him to get hit to flying or something. That was it. Everything surrounded that dog, and you did nothing about it. And the thing was that you're gonna find, the dog isn't even his. It belongs to Supergirl, who shows up at the end. And don't worry, I'll get to her just now. You understand me? That was it. What was the point of that dog even being there other than just to freaking annoy everything? Oh my God, man. The dog ended up, because even after what happened with Lex Luthor and all of that, you understand me? Superman does nothing. You know who literally grabs Lex and starts throwing him around and all kind of thing? The dog. The dog stole the show. The dog showed you up. That's what happened. The freaking canine showed you up. Holy Christ, boy. Wait. I tell you, boy. Oh, Father, let me just. Up next, Superman was sent to conquer. All right. I don't know where people have gotten this ridiculous idea from lately, that they need to rewrite the history of Krypton to fit some kind of idiotic mold. I don't know. Now, the fact that you could have had some kind of, okay, you didn't need to go heavy into an origin story with this one. You could have taken like 3 minutes at the start of it and just showed, Jor-El and Lara putting Clark into the ship taking off, it flying away, Krypton exploding, crashing on Earth, he being raised by John and Martha. 3 minutes and you're done right there. No, they didn't do that. Instead, James Gunn decides to change the very origin of it, and because what happens is that Jor-El and Lara send Superman to Earth and send a message telling him, you know what, you need to conquer Earth and take as many human women as possible to have a harem and bang left, right, and center till you bring back all of Krypton. Yeah. And how does this work out? Well, apparently, when it is Superman came to Earth, part of the message, he got a message. A message was sent with him from his parents, right? But only the first part was audible. The other half of it was damaged, so he never knew what it said. Now, the robots, the Superman robots, are at the fortress all the time. They don't sleep, they don't eat. They're highly advanced Kryptonian robots. You would think they would work on retrieving that message so he knows what happens. No. It's not until Lex Luthor shows up at the Fortress of Solitude with the Engineer and Ultraman and the fortress opens. The fortress, of course, is keyed to Superman's DNA, so you automatically know it's it's Bizarro, so whatever, right? And when they go in there, destroy the robots and all of that, the engineer who has nanites all through her system because Lex did that to her, hooks up to it and she retrieves the rest of the message. So the robots apparently couldn't do that, but the woman with nanites figure gets it done, right? She retrieves the message, and that's when we get to find out what happened. Why do you need to screw with Krypton's history? I don't know. Maybe James Gunn was going with this whole, Superman needs to choose between his Kryptonian origin and his humanity. Well, here's a simple way you could have done that, James Gunn. Superman is an alien from Krypton, but he was raised on Earth with human values and all of that. One of the things that Lex Luthor has always hated about Superman, right? Despite the fact, well, he has this whole moniker about how, if humanity relies on Superman, they will stop advancing and all of that. Okay, one of the reasons, honestly, that I think he hates Superman so much is because Superman might be the most human person on Earth, even though he is an alien. If you had to choose between Superman and Batman, you might most likely say Superman is more human because Batman spends his time plotting ways to kill his friends, but he'll never take out the Joker and them. No, they must remain. You understand me? But Superman believes in people, sees the good in people, trusts people, and wants to raise people up to be better. So you don't need to change Krypton's history to say that, they sent Superman to Earth to conquer Earth, build a harem, and screw from sun up to sundown. You don't need to do that. There is already an established point that Superman is more human because because of the way he was raised. Even though he does have godlike abilities, he is one of the most human people you will ever meet. That's what makes Superman such an interesting character. But no, you needed to go in there and literally destroy the legacy of Krypton for whatever reason I don't freaking know. Next up, the interdimensional monkeys are real people. I didn't think James Gunn would be stupid enough to do this, but clearly I was mistaken about so many things. Because honestly, James Gunn's little pocket dimension thing, he actually has an army of monkeys. I'm telling you, monkeys posting stuff online. The whole hashtag super shit and all that thing, all of that is from the monkeys. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. And that isn't even the most convoluted nonsense in it, but that's what he's doing. That is what he is doing. It's absolutely ridiculous. You have an army of monkeys doing this shit. Oh my God, boy. And then we move on to even more the people who are being influenced by this. Next up, the citizens of Metropolis are idiots. There's no other way to put it. Absolute idiots. These people, your city is getting attacked and they just stand around filming or whatever. Run for your goddamn lives, Nano. There is literally a flying man outside of your window who just beat the shit out of Superman. And he's saying things, run. No, all of you all there in the office building, stand up there watching him so he could vaporize you. You know the scene where Superman saved that little girl? There is danger happening, and this child, I don't know where her parents are, is outside there kicking a ball. There's danger right behind her, you know. Right behind her. And she's outside kicking a ball. And then to make it even worse, if that's even possible, when the whole thing that Lex Luthor reveals the whole truth about how Superman was sent to Earth to you know conquer it and get a harem and all of this and that and the other and all that thing. The scene where Superman is walking in and the guy throws it and the bottle back of his head and all that is happening. He just, I mean, literally just 10 seconds ago, finished saving these people's lives. And they automatically turn on him. Automatically. These people are the most influential bunch of imbeciles you will ever meet. The minute anything comes across the news, they just suck it up. Danger is happening, they stand up. These people are morons. Absolute morons. Oh my God, boy. Next up, why are the extras even in this movie? I talked about this many times leading up to this movie, how I felt that, you know, this movie is turning out to be an overgrown, really a bloated, convoluted mess. And I was right. We have the Justice Gang, for instance, and yes, that's what they're called, the Justice Gang, right? Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. Mr. Terrific was easily the best character probably in this whole movie. And I really wanted to like him more. But again, the way he was portrayed and certainly some of the really ridiculous jokes just didn't do it for me. So it kind of blew back a bit. Now, Guy Gardner was somewhat tolerable. But you see, Hawkgirl, for some reason, James Gunn thought the best thing to do would have her fly around cawing like a bird. And it was stupid. The character was idiotic. I was the best way to put it, idiotic. Then you have Metamorpho, who could have been an interesting character, except for the fact that, you know, he didn't do anything with it at all. Let's not forget the fact we have the Engineer, Ultraman, Lex Luthor, the whole Daily Planet team, plus Lois Lane, Superman, all of this in there. And think about, you know what this movie is. There is no room for it to breathe. It's like James Gunn hired the Flash to write this. There is no pacing in this movie. Everything that happens. Oh my God. I mean, even when you think you get a moment to just put up, no. Everything happens in this movie. It's all kind of breakneck pace, a lot crunch, and it's just really ridiculous. Why are all of these people in there? Because in the trailer, there was this scene where these children were holding up this flag as Superman and they were calling for Superman, and everybody's calling for Superman to come. He never even shows up. No, he's in Metropolis dealing with some crap involving Lex Luthor. So what happens? The Justice Gang goes there and stops them. And yes, again, that's what they're called, along with Metamorpho. That's it. And why isn't Superman there? Because Lex Luthor activated some kind of his whole pocket dimension thing. He activated some kind of dimensional rift as basically just cutting a hole, this kind of cutting this thing straight through the city. That's what's happening. And Mr. Terrific says, you know, he needs Superman's help to stop it. Why? Why did he need his help? I don't know. Because the only way to stop it was to bust into Lex's control room and shut it down, which you are more than capable of doing, because there was this scene where Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane go to this military base thing that Lex Luthor has there. And he's using his T-space and thing to take all these soldiers. And I'm telling you, it's just basically a ripoff of Yandu with his whistling thing from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's all it is. That's all it is. And then the camera angles are just really wild. Like this. You can get up close, outside, pan, spin around, go back. It's really confusing. Really, really, it does not go off well at all. You sort of wonder what in the name of God were you actually trying to do with this? A bloated, convoluted mess. That's what this was. Next up, you had one job, James Gunn. One. Just one job. All you had to do was just make this decent, and that was it. Nobody would bother you anymore. You had this woman because here's the thing. I reviewed Creature Commandos. I reviewed the first set of episodes because I watched the entire show. I watched the whole show. But I did a review for the first set of episodes. I did a review for that. For the second set of episodes, I did a review for it. Edited the video, had it ready to go, and I had someone say to myself, you know what? I don't care about this, and nobody else would care about it, and I just deleted it. And I don't think anybody even noticed that I didn't put it because that's how much people didn't even care to be anymore. The show was not good. But I was holding out hope that this Superman movie was going to be good. No, it wasn't. It was, I don't know what the hell James Gunn think he was doing with this, but I'm telling you, buddy, you failed miserably. Because here's the thing, recently in DC Comics, they changed some of their law to make it seem like, meta-humans had been around for so long and Superman coming on was just like, Superman showed up and that's it. No. If you know DC Comics continuity, you know that the age of heroes in DC Comics began with Superman. It doesn't matter how many years Vandal Savage has been alive. It doesn't matter who was doing it. All they know. When Superman showed up, that's when everybody else showed up. But no, they changed that in this movie because at the beginning of the movie, you actually find, 300 years ago, meta-humans started showing up. And then 30 years ago, Superman came to Earth. And then 3 years ago, he debuted as Superman. What? So they're literally changing the continuity in DC Comics to match this movie. That's what they're doing. Because that shit didn't work for the MCU. No, let's do it over here too. And then you have the fact of it is, like, even when this, I talk about how this movie had no pace and everything was just in your face. Because there is so much noise. That's it. There's so much happening that some people might think, okay, this is really exciting. But when you sit and look at it, it isn't. Even the action scenes, to me, the fight scenes, to me, felt very lackluster. Very, very lackluster. And when it wasn't throwing everything at you, it was the ridiculous jokes. Honestly, because do you remember this guy, the one who helped Superman up in the thing right? Lex Luthor abducts him, takes him to the prison there where he has Superman there, plays Russian roulette right in front of Superman, and then shoots the guy in the head and kills him. And you would think that would be a big emotional moment needing for something to happen. No, immediately you get some joke, immediately it moves on to something else. There is nothing to actually build anything in this movie. It's just one thing, two thing, three thing, joke, 1 thing, 2 thing, 3 thing, joke. And the thing about it is that we actually found out that James Gunn actually had to remove some of the jokes from this. So you can imagine what kind of mess this was before. Good God, boy. Eh. And finally, we have number 10. They are going to, if this movie does make money, it might very well make money because terrible movies have made money before this movie does make money. They are going to learn all the wrong lessons from this movie and just continue to go forward because this is James Gunn's DCU. They're gonna learn all the wrong lessons from this because there was talk at a point in time about how Matt Reeves, the Batman, could do this. No. This movie is a running joke, and for some reason, I don't even think it's Batman cannot be in this. You have to literally create your own because what James Gunn is looking to work on is Batman and Wonder Woman moving forward. And I don't know how you're going to fit them into this, the way that this whole thing was portrayed, but I am not hopeful. I really am not hopeful. Because even with the whole thing where we got the cameo of Supergirl, right? And this is I point about how, Superman's parents' message was actually damaged. So you trying to tell me Supergirl is there, she couldn't say to, hey, listen, cause your parents kind of sent you here to conquer the earth and, create a harem and bang from sun up to sundown. And I don't want to hear no crap about how, maybe she was in stasis and she don't remember. No, because she remember enough that what does she do? She travels to planets that have red suns and gets drunk and then comes back. That's what she does. That's what she does because Tom King story, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, just a basic ripoff of True Grit. And that's the story that they planted up. I have no interest in seeing this girl's movie. I may very well have to see it to review, but until I have no interest, this character did nothing for me. This was James Gunn's attempt to create and this is the movie. But this is an unmitigated fail. I'm telling you this. This movie, I'm telling you, I was not a big fan of Man of Steel, but I'm telling you, Man of Steel was better than this. Honestly, this movie was terrible. Terrible. Absolutely ridiculous. I left that theater and I have no interest whatsoever in ever seeing this movie again. And you think I remember because when I was in the theaters watching it, and this was over the weekend, if there were 12 people in there, there were plenty. And throughout the movie, I kept hearing people stupsing. That was it. And then after the movie ended, I said to myself, you know what? Maybe I am just being overly harsh. So I asked the woman who was sitting a few chairs down from me. Like I said, was barely anybody in there. So I asked her, I said, excuse me, is it just me or was that movie terrible? And she said, no, that movie was just crap. And I said, okay, thank you. It wasn't just me. I don't know what the hell James Gunn was thinking, but clearly he missed something very, very big there. Very big. Good God, this was terrible, boy. My final rating for Superman, I'm going to give this 1.3 out of 5. I cannot recommend this movie to anybody. I'm telling you, it is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I walked away from that pissed at how much you wasted like $300 million to do that. Good God, boy. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.